Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees online. Thank you very much for your kind association. As we continue associating with Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2, Chapter 8, verses 1 to 11, title is incorrect. There should be questions by March Parikshit. So if my internet cuts off or it breaks, just let me know. I'm switched on to the backup. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Savana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishwakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpataru Vyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Vastatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastra Puyusha Sarva Vedeka Satpala Sarva Siddhantaratmadya Sarva Lokai Triprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidwando Didaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most prominent transcendental fruit of all the Vedas, O you are enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you who grant spiritual vision of the O you who grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O life breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actual Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshasha Rayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namaste. O Srimad Bhagavatam, offer respectful obeisance unto you. By reading you one attains transcendental bliss. For your syllables rain pure love of God upon the reader. You are always to be served by everyone, for you are incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madekabando Mad Sangim Mad Guru Mad Mahadana Mad Nishtaraka Mad Bhagya Marananda Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. Asadu sadhu tadahi natti nichochatara kahanamun chakada chinmam premna ritkatayospura. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O give us saintliness to the unsaintly, of love to the very fallen. Please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest Mahatma Truth, accompany pure love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yutonvayaditarata Charte Swabhigna Swara Tene Brahma Hidaya Adikavaye Muyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yata Vinimayo Yatrati Sargom Risha Damna Swena Sadani Rastakwakam Satyam Param Dhimai. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, Son of the Slave, O pervading person of Godhead, offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because the absolute truth and the primary cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even great sages and demigods are placed into illusion as one is bewildered by illusory representation of water seen in fire, land seen on water. Only because of him did the material universe is temporarily manifest by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are real. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in transcendental abode, which is forever free from illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Parayano Pasha Sabya Kalavasmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Mateo Manda Bhagyu Padrita. O learned one, this age of Kali many but short lies, they are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above are always disturbed. Narayana Namaskritya Narachevam Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance to the person of God in Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and the Mother Saraswati, goddess of learning, unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Sabhapum Saparo Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radok Chaje Bhavitu Kaprati Yata Yatma Suprasiddhati Supreme occupation, dharma for all humanity, is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service to the Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayachus Vairagyam Jnanam Chaya Dahitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the person of God, Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causes, knowledge, and detachment from the world. Vadanti Tattvavidas Tattvam Yajnanam Advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Sabhyate. Learned transcendentalists know the absolute truth calls non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma Bhagavan. Shurushushoshadrana Vasudeva Kataruchisyan Mahatsavaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. Otherwise, born sages, by serving those devotees completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Shranvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hriyadanto Stoya Bhadrani Vidunoti Surit Satam. Shri Krishna, the person of the Godhead, who is Paramatma, supposed in everyone's heart, and the benefactor, fruitful devotee, cleanses desire from till enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues when properly heard and chanted. Nasta Prayasha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtike. By regular tense and classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all the disturbance into the heart is almost completely destroyed in loving service unto the person of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song establishes in irrevocable. Etavan Sankhya Yoga Bhyam Swadharma Pari Nishtaya Janmalabha Para Pumsamante Narayana Smriti. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic power, by perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to remember the personality of God at the end of life. Akamasaro Kamava Mokshakamo Dhariti Vrena Bhakti Yogena Yajate Purusham Param, a person who has broad intelligence, whether he be full of knowledge, whether they be full of all material desires, without any material desires, or desire liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of God. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Hare Krishna and welcome again. Let us cover any feedback that you may have from the last session, Canto 2, Chapter 7, verses 47 to 53. Please type in the chat any feedback. Just be back in a minute. Shavina says, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble ways of appreciation. From last week's class, the message of a devotee association stood out. Devotee association changes the heart. We start to develop good qualities within ourselves, and we start to develop a service mode. Through the mercy of devotees, one gets the opportunity to perfect our own bhakti. And it is important to appreciate that whenever association is spoke about, it's always in reference to associating with advanced devotees. Because remember, association can be of different levels. So we don't want, yes, we want to associate with everyone, but association needs to be of a higher quality. You want to associate with those like-minded devotees that are more advanced than ourselves, because by that association we benefit. Now there may be a circle where that association is not advanced, and we may put Krishna in the center, and that association, if everyone's intention is to put Krishna in the center, then that association is also beneficial. But ultimately, for us to take the next step in advance, we always want to associate with advanced devotees. Like when we associate with Srimad Bhagavatam, it's glorious because that is Krishna. And we're associating with Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. So in this way, by associating with Prabhupada, that is advanced association. That is the most advanced association. Not only we associate with Prabhupada, we are associating with the personalities in the Bhagavatam, we are associating with the previous acharyas. So even if we have a group of devotees that are not advanced or very advanced, then in that association, if we bring Prabhupada in the center and read, just by reading his books in that association, that is beneficial. Good. Prabhupada says in the 52nd verse of the seventh chapter, as we have already explained, Srimad Bhagavatam is so scientifically presented that any sincere student of this great science will be able to understand the science of God simply by reading it with attention or simply by regularly hearing it from a bona fide speaker. So attention, regular, and sincerity. These are important qualities if we want to benefit from the association of Srimad Bhagavatam in the most effective way. If we want to maximize that association, then these qualities are important. And as I was making the point, via online, it's practical, but it is also distracting. It can distract one's attention very easily. Just like, like now, if the camera is not on, and if your focus is not on me, firstly, for me to speak becomes a little more challenging because I'm speaking to a screen. And I can't see the audience. Whereas if I'm live, I can see the audience, I can reciprocate with the audience is smiling or the audience is sleeping. I know. Right now, if I'm speaking and if somebody is on their phone, somebody is distracted, somebody has fallen to sleep, I don't know. I'm speaking and I'm continuing. So I'm awake, you may be sleeping, and I may be thinking you're benefiting, but you may not be benefiting. Whereas if I am live with you and you falling off to sleep, Prabhupada would always say, stand up. And the devotees would have to stand up, even though it's embarrassing. But it's rather I'm embarrassed so that I can make advancement, then not be embarrassed and don't make advancement. So in this case, we need to take the responsibility to be attentive, to allocate the time so that we can spend, because ultimately, Bhagavatam knows. Ultimately, Krishna is there in the heart, and he knows whether we are attentive or we are sincere and we are trying to please Krishna. There are certain offenses in assimilating or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And one of the offenses in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is naturally falling off to sleep is there. This, not attentive. We find even in the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavatam Mahatmya, when the Dunduki, he was Tundubi, there was a brother, there were two brothers. The brother was, Gokarna was hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. And his brother, who was encaged in a ghostly body, he was also hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And all the sages there, the residents, the audience was also listening. But Gokarna's brother, he became liberated just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, whereas the others did not. In fact, after the 7 days of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, the spiritual Vaikuntha Airlines came and took him. And the audience were wondering, what happened to us? Why was it only one ticket? One ticket only? What happened to our tickets? How come we didn't go? Because their attention was not as focused and concentrated, condensed as Gokarna's brother, who was in a ghostly body. In the ghostly body, he was suffering. Therefore, he was more, I need to resolve, I need to solve this, I need to really hear this because I need to get out of this material suffering, subtle suffering. So like that, depending on our intensity of association, coming back to the Sharina's point, we may have good association, but we may not take full advantage of that association. And that is actually the greatest misfortune. That in Krishna consciousness, we have the best philosophy, the best process, the most empowered acharya to preach, Shri Mahaprabhu Senapati Bhakta, the most amazing line of acharyas that are there. Such a wonderful process. Yet, we may not take a full advantage of that. And that is the greatest misfortune. Everyone is hankering after happiness in life. But in this age, the members of human society, blind as they are, do not have the proper vision that the personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all happiness, because He is the ultimate source of everything. Janmad Yasya Yata. Happiness in complete perfection, without hindrance, can be achieved only by our devotional relationship with Him. So in the first part of this paragraph, Prabhupada gave the solution. And the solution is Srimad Bhagavatam. It is scientific, which means that if we apply, the benefit will be there. There is absolutely no doubt of the potency, the power of Srimad Bhagavatam. If it's not delivering the result that is described through so many verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam, even in this chapter that we're going to start, so many glories are described of Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we're not experiencing that gradually, then that means we need to look at our application, look within. That means we may not be attentive, we may not regularly be hearing it, we may not be sincere. So we need to then, that's within our control. That we can change. Then everyone is looking for happiness. Well, Bhagavatam is Krishna in this world. So we have Krishna. If we associate with Bhagavatam, we associate with Krishna. If we bring Krishna in our life, He's the source of all happiness. And therefore, Prabhupada says, happiness in complete perfection, the highest form of happiness, will be experienced without hindrance. No obstacles can check this form of happiness by our devotional relationship with Krishna. How wonderful, how glorious, how amazing. Something that everyone is searching for. We have it right here in our hands. Then Prabhupada continues. And it is only by his association that we can get free from. It is only by his association that we can get free of the distressful material existence. Even those who are after enjoyment of this material world can also take shelter of the great signs of Srimad Bhagavatam and they will be successful at the end. It is only by his association that we can get free of distressful material existence. People are distressed, people are stressed out, people are suffering. There's so many forms of complexities and difficult situations in this world. So the solution is Krishna, associating with Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then in the last part of this paragraph, Srila Prabhupada gives a blessing. His compassion is shown here. Even those who are after enjoyment of this material world. So yes, you still want to enjoy this world. Even then, one can take shelter of this great science of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they will be successful at the end. Akama sarvakama va. That doesn't matter. You may be full of material desires. You want to enjoy. You're not advanced. You are sincere. This is for everyone. We simply have to take advantage of this good fortune of Srimad Bhagavatam appearing in our lives through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Shamananda Prabhu says, thank you very much, Prabhu, for emphasizing this point of associating Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada, and so many wonderful personalities discussing Srimad Bhagavatam and getting topmost association. Yes. People may be wondering, how do I make advancement in the age of Kali Yuga? We don't have a community. We live far apart. We all have our different activities in life, and life carries on. Life doesn't stop. We have different challenges, but Bhagavatam is there, and therefore we need to take full advantage. And we're going to see the eagerness that we need to cultivate through the example of Maharaj Parikshit. We've heard Lord Brahma speaking to Narad Muni, sharing all the incarnations in the previous chapter, the glories of the incarnations. And then Lord Brahma tells Narad Muni, please go and distribute, share this knowledge. So now Maharaj Parikshit, he begins to inquire from Sukadeva Goswami. So the first 6 verses, Parikshit inspires Sukadeva Goswami to speak Harikatha. And then we're going to hear from 7 to 23, we'll go up to text 11 in today's session. Maharaj Parikshit is going to be asking so many further questions. And all these questions that he's going to ask is really going to inspire Sukadeva Goswami to unfold, speak Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 1. Rajo Vacha Brahmana Chodito Brahman Guna Kyane Gunasya Cha Yasme Yatha Praha Narado Deva Darshana. King Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, how did Narad Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma, explain the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is without material qualities, and before whom did he speak? Lord Brahma requested to Narad Muni to go and share the glories of the Lord. So much Parikshit is curious. Who did he speak to? Just like we may speak to someone and say, actually, Srila Prabhupada, at the age of 69, due to the order of his spiritual master, which was given to him in 1922 and was preparing, he left the Indian shores. He left India for the West to preach. And we stopped there. Naturally, the person is going to be curious. Where did he go? Who did he preach to? What did he do? So like that, after hearing Lord Brahma's discussion with Narad Muni and his instruction, then Maharaj Parikshit was curious. What? I want to know, who did he preach to? I'm curious. Who did he preach to? Another point, you see, this was mentioned just in terms of the brilliance of Maharaj Parikshit in this verse. There's in Sanskrit different ways of composing verses, right? And here we find there's each line, there's like a common, like rhyming, you could say. Brahmana chodito Brahman. So Brahmana and Brahman, close words. Guna kyaya gunasyacha. Guna gunas. Yasme yasme. Narado deva darshana. So Maharaj Parikshit was also very, very expert at composing beautiful verses. Narada Deva Darshana. Deva Darshana, Prabhupada in the word-to-word translate this as one whose audience is as good as that of any demigod. Narada Deva Darshana. When you see Narada, when you get darshan of Narada, Narad Muni, then that means you are getting darshan of all the demigods. Another meaning is when you see Narada, then you are getting the darshan of the Supreme Personality of God. And another meaning is through the mercy of Narada, you can get a direct darshan of the Supreme Personality of God. Narada also means one who's distributing. Narada. Narada. Nara means living entities, one who's distributing the mercy of devotion, the blessings of the Lord to all living entities. Narada. Prabhupada in the purport says, Devarshi Narad was directly instructed by Brahmaji, who was also directly instructed by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the instructions imparted by Narada to his various disciples are as good as those of the Supreme Lord. I'll read that again, because Maharaj Parikshit is making this point. If we see in the verse, how did Narad Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma? Lord Brahma is directly speaking to Narad Muni. Maharaj Parikshit is saying that those that Narad Muni is preaching to, it's not like they're getting less mercy. In fact, they also are as fortunate like Brahma is speaking to them. So Deva Prabhupada is emphasizing, he's starting the paragraph with this point, that Devarshi Narad was directly instructed by Brahmaji, who was directly instructed by the Supreme Lord. So now we're not only going to Brahma, we're even going to the Supreme Lord. And therefore, the instructions imparted by Narada to his various disciples are as good as those of the Supreme Lord. That means when you're getting the knowledge from Narad Muni, it is like you're getting it directly from the Supreme Lord. Now consider in our case, Narada spoke to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva spoke to his disciples, Madhvacharya. In this way, the lineage continued. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj spoke to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is now speaking to us. Here, Srila Prabhupada is speaking to us. We normally make this point, right? This is Prabhupada's paragraph, Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purports. On the top, you can edit. This is the only time you can edit. So what you can edit your name, dear, and you put your name. Srila Prabhupada is writing, dear name, please accept my humble obeisances. May this meet you in the best of health. And then the rest of the purport. And then at the end, your ever well-wisher, signed A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So now Prabhupada is directly addressing this paragraph to you personally. It's a personal, direct instruction. Implication. It's a direct instruction from the Supreme Personality of God. And why is that the case? Because the instruction does not change. So this is the power. The potency does not wane when the disciplic succession is intact. In fact, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a beautiful purport. Where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going through Jharakanda forest. And as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going through the Jharakanda forest, he tells the wild animals to chant. And the wild animals, they all forget their animosity. They begin to embrace. The tigers are embracing the lions, and all the animals are embracing, and they're chanting Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada in the purport says that just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed the wild animals to chant Hare Krishna and in the Jharakanda forest, and they were able to give up their animal propensity due to his potency, due to his purity and power. Prabhupada says even now, we can have the same impact. If we are connected to the disciplic succession. So the potency is there. Now, if the potency is there, just like the electricity is there, in my complex, the electricity is there. It's coming from the power house. But if I don't tap into the electricity, if I don't plug the socket, if I don't plug into the socket, I'm not going to get the electricity. I will not be able to take advantage of the electricity. Similarly, in the disciplic succession, the potency is there. But if I don't plug in, I cannot get the desired benefit. Prabhupada then continues. That is the way of understanding Vedic knowledge. Today we were at the temple, we were hearing Prabhupada's lecture. So the devotee asks a question. He says, Srila Prabhupada, what happens if we are discussing and there's a misunderstanding? Srila Prabhupada says, what do you mean misunderstanding? The purports are there. How can there be misunderstanding? If you're reading my purports, how can there be any misunderstanding? So Prabhupada's already giving the clarification. He's already expanding the points. He's giving the understanding. So one way is to simply take that understanding. Yes, we need to clarify our doubts, but Prabhupada's already done the explanation. We simply have to have the faith and accept the understanding and purify our understanding, change our understanding, change our perspective. Not try to superimpose our understanding and try to fit our understanding into the Siddhanta, but rather accept the Siddhanta, accept the truth, and allow the truth to change our perspective. In that way, we don't change the philosophy. We don't change the truth. That is what Krishna means. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. One who understands the truth of my appearance and activities in this world. So the truth is already given to us. The acharyas in our line, Srila Prabhupada has assimilated all that knowledge that's given by the acharyas and have given to us. So therefore, we simply have to take the understanding from Srila Prabhupada's purpose. It comes down from the Lord by disciplic succession. And this transcendental knowledge is distributed to the world by this descending process. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes this point, that this knowledge, now, here's okay, so let me just share one experience. We know that Srila Prabhupada had the previous Acharya's commentaries with him. And he would use the previous Acharya's commentaries, digest those commentaries, he's realized those commentaries, and then he would give his Bhaktivedanta purpose. So when I was in Nairobi, there was a wonderful devotee, he was a temple president there, Umapati Prabhu. So he was sharing with me that he was reading Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami. And the Acharya's commentaries, as he was reading the exact verses, then he was going to Prabhupada's Nectar Devotion, and he was saying Prabhupada was so expert that within his purport, he blended, he intertwined all the previous Acharya's commentaries beautifully. When you're reading the purport, if you don't know the commentaries, you won't know that this point is actually related to Jiva Goswami's point. This point is related to Vishwan Chakravarti Thakur point. This point is actually a point from Srila Swami. This point is actually Prabhupada's realization. You may not be able to distinguish that because we don't have exhaustive knowledge of all the Acharya's commentaries. And we may want to go to all the Acharya's commentaries because we think they obviously have more knowledge in that sense. But here we find Srila Prabhupada was able to take all the commentaries and give us the knowledge in its best digestible form. Just like when a bird feeds its chicks, when a mother bird feeds its chicks, it'll take a worm, some food, and it'll chew on that food, semi-digest that food, and then give that to the chicks. So it becomes easily digestible for the chicks. Similarly, Prabhupada has taken all the knowledge of the previous Acharyas, assimilated it, digested it, semi-digested it, embellished it, given it with full pure devotion. His full empowerment, his full personality. Prabhupada says, my personal ecstasies, Prabhupada is giving in these beautiful purports. So here, this statement, it comes down from the Lord by disciplic succession, and this transcendental knowledge is distributed to the world by this descending process. So this statement is actually by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. Because Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur makes the point that transcendental knowledge can only be understood in a descending process called Avaropanta. Avaropanta means to accept knowledge or transcendental knowledge in a descending process. Avaro comes from the root word avatar. Avatar means descend, one who descends. So avaro means accepting knowledge in a descending process as compared to arohapanta. Arohapanta means ascending. We try to understand it with our own intellectual ability, and that is defective. There is no chance, however, to receive the Vedic knowledge from mental speculators. Mental speculators means they're speculating and you not getting any transcendental wisdom from mental speculators. Therefore, wherever Narad Muni goes, he represents himself as authorized by the Lord, and his appearance is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the disciplic succession, which strictly follows the transcendental instruction, is the bona fide chain of disciplic succession, and the test of such bona fide spiritual masters is that there should be no difference between the instruction of the Lord originally imparted to the devotee and that which is imparted by the authority in the line of disciplic succession. How Narad Muni distributed transcendent knowledge of the Lord will be explained in the later canto. So we can say similarly, wherever Srila Prabhupada goes, he represents himself as authorized by the Lord, and his appearance is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. By us associating with Srila Prabhupada, we are directly associating with the Lord. That is profound, and that is the greatest fortune. Now consider, Narad Muni goes and associates his preaching. He comes to Dhruva, and he preaches to Dhruva. He goes to Prahlad. So many living, so many disciples. He goes and he preaches. Srila Prabhupada went to the West, preached to so many souls, and then left this world, unmanifested his physical pastimes. But he left behind himself in the form of his books, his Bhaktivedanta books. So even though Srila Prabhupada is not physically present with us, he is there in the deity form, he's there in the form of his instructions, and he's there in the form of his Bhaktivedanta purpose. And again, this is the most amazing blessing and benediction for the age of Kali Yuga. Prabhupada is able to give himself to every soul that comes in contact with his books, and thereby giving direct association of the Supreme Personality of God. It will appear also that the Lord existed prior to the material creation, and therefore his transcendental name, qualities, etc., do not represent any material quality. Whenever, therefore, the Lord is described as aguna, or without any quality, it does not mean that he has no quality, but that he has no material quality, such as the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, and as the conditioned souls have. He is transcendental to all material conceptions, and thus he is described as aguna. It was only by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that this point was crystal clear. When you listen to all different varieties of saintly persons, especially those who are in the Vedanta school, or coming from the Vedanta and the Upanishads line, because in the Upanishads, there is so many descriptions where it says God is nirguna or aguna. Now, most of them would say, see, the Vedantas, the Upanishads make it very clear. The Supreme Lord, the absolute truth, is nirgun, agun. So what they would conclude, the Supreme Lord has no qualities, no form, is nirgun, has no qualities. Nir means negation, guna means qualities. So no qualities. And this is a mistake. And here we see Prabhupada clarifying that point very, very clear. That it means not, it does not mean that he doesn't have any qualities. No, it means that he has no material qualities. That's what it means. Sagun means he has all qualities. But all the qualities are nirgun, without any material qualities. That's the proper understanding. This was also one lesson that Lord Jagannath wanted to teach. When you see Lord Jagannath, Lord Jagannath has no hands. Lord Jagannath has no feet. So someone may say, oh, just see, this form of Lord Jagannath is incomplete. No hands, no feet. No. Lord Jagannath has hands. Lord Jagannath has feet. What Lord Jagannath is teaching you, the same point. I have no material hands. I have no material legs. But I have spiritual hands and I have spiritual legs. So the Lord is completely spiritual. His qualities, his name, form, qualities, pastimes, everything about the Supreme Lord is totally transcendental. Text 2. Etad veditum ichchami tattvam tattva vidamsvara harer arbhuta virasya viryasya kataloka sumangala. The king said, I wish to know narrations concerning the Lord, who possesses wonderful potencies, are certainly auspicious for living beings in all planets. Katha Loka Sumangala. Harer Arbhuta Virasya. I want to learn about Krishna's wonderful pastimes, potencies, qualities. Why? Because such katha is Loka Sumangalam. Mangalam means auspicious, like Mangalarti, auspicious. Sumangala means very auspicious. So hearing about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Sumangala. Very, very auspicious. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of narrations of the activities of the Supreme Lord, is auspicious for all living beings residing in every planet. Okay, so now, not only for Earth planet, for every planet. So we'll need to somehow or other eventually make arrangements so that we can distribute our books, not just on Earth planet, but also all the other planets. In Sri Shopanishad, Prabhupada says, in the future, there'll be interplanetary preaching. So when the scientists eventually go to Mars, then the devotees will go to Mars with some books. In this way, they can go and travel. Or if, and maybe that may be the possibility also. Prabhupada did make the point that as generations pass and as devotees imbibe and practice and become more pure in their Krishna consciousness, then the generations become more imbued with the purity of Krishna consciousness. Eventually, to the extent that they can light fire with mantra. Which means that as generations of Krishna consciousness continues over time, the devotees will become more and more pure, and eventually they may even be able to go and travel to other planets. And with that travel comes Prabhupada's books. And in this way, they can give Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam. One who takes it as belonging to a particular sect is certainly mistaken. Srimad Bhagavatam is certainly a very dear scripture of all the devotees of the Lord, but it is auspicious even for the non-devotees also, because it explains that even the non-devotees hovering under the spell of the material energy can be delivered from such clutches if they hear the narrations of the Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion and attention from the right source, representing the Lord by disciplic succession. Srimad Bhagavatam is Amala Puran, spotless Puran. It is very dear to the devotees. Shri Mahaprabhu said, this is our ultimate proof. Why are we practicing Krishna consciousness? Our proof is in Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's very dear to the devotees of the Lord. But it's also very auspicious for the non-devotees. Because if the non-devotees simply with devotion and attention, they hear the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, they hear the glories of the activities of the Lord from Srimad Bhagavatam, then their life become auspicious. 3. Kathayasya mahabhaga yathaham akhilatmani Krishne nivashya nishangam manas tyakshe kalevaram. O greatly fortunate Sukadeva Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish this body. The Srimad Bhagavatam just started. Sukadeva Goswami just started speaking. Already we can understand that Maharaj Parikshit's consciousness is fully focused in the right place. Krishna niveshya nishangam. I want to place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and leave the body. So this is the perfection, the outcome, the objective of Krishna consciousness. It's to make the mind Krishna conscious. It's to take our consciousness and repose, direct our consciousness to Krishna. It's to become absorbed in Krishna. Therefore, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Prabhupada's purport. To be fully engaged in hearing the transcendental narration described in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam means to constantly associate with the Supreme Soul, Shri Krishna. To be fully engaged in hearing the transcendently associate with the Supreme Soul. If you constantly associate with Bhagavatam, if you're constantly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, that means you are constantly associating with Supreme Lord. If you constantly associate with Supreme Lord and you leave at any point in time, Krishna is there. Krishna is there, you're going back to God. This is the power, this is the potency, this is the blessing. We can only pray to Krishna that we may live in association devotees that are glorifying Krishna and we in that association. But because material life is so precarious, we may not know when and how we're going to die. But if we're in the habit of always associating and keeping Srimad Bhagavatam next to us, if we are dying while hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, that's glorious. There is no more auspicious death than that. Somebody is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, they're in the temple, online, they're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and all of a sudden they drop dead. That is beautiful, auspicious, all auspicious. Or if one is dying and Srimad Bhagavatam is on the table, and while dying, you grab Srimad Bhagavatam and hold it to your chest. And while you're holding Srimad Bhagavatam, your mind, when your mind is absorbed and constantly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, then the mind will begin to recollect the different pastimes of Krishna through that contact, through that association. And again, your mind will be absorbed, associating with Krishna. Ante Narayana Smriti. You're remembering the Supreme Lord. And to constantly associate with Supreme Lord Krishna means to be liberated from the qualities of matter. Lord Krishna is the sun, and material contamination is like darkness. As the presence of the sun dissipates darkness, constant engagement in association of Lord Shri Krishna frees one from the contamination of material qualities. Contamination by material qualities is the cause of repeated birth and death, and liberation from material qualities is transcendence. When Prabhupada says he can solve birth, death, disease, and old age. So to solve these four major problems in life, birth, death, disease, and old age, all we need to do is to solve birth and death. If you can solve birth and death, the two in the problem, disease and old age, is solved. No birth means no death. No birth and death means no disease and old age. So out of the four, we just got two main problems to solve. So how do I solve repeated birth and death? Well, to solve repeated birth and death, I got two now. I can just solve the one, solve death. If I solve death, then there's no birth. So now I'm left with one. So out of four, I'm left with two. Out of two, I'm left with one. How to solve death? So I can easily solve death. Material contamination or contamination by material qualities is the cause of repeated birth and death. Death is simply due to material contamination. And where Lord Krishna is, that frees us from material contamination. So therefore, Prabhupada would always encourage, mold your life in such a way that Krishna is in the center. Krishna's there. Because if Krishna's there, material qualities are not there. And whether direct or indirect association with Krishna doesn't matter. Arjuna is fighting a battle. He's not seeing Krishna, but he's indirectly following Krishna's, he's indirectly seeing Krishna, associating with Krishna, because he's following Krishna's instruction. So his fighting is still Krishna consciousness. So therefore, there is no excuse whether we full-time in the temple or whether we are living dutiful, responsible household life to be Krishna conscious. Whatever you eat, is it Krishna Prasad? Whatever you hear, is it connected to Krishna? You're working to bring some income to support a Krishna conscious household. You're spending your time hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna, associate devotees, serving the mission. Your material contamination will be eliminated. When material contamination is eliminated, there is no more material death. In this way, one becomes free. Maharaj Parikshit was now a realized soul by this secret of liberation through the grace of Sukadev Goswami. For the latter had informed the king that the highest perfection of life is to be in remembrance of Narayan at the end of life. Now, if somebody asks you, what is the greatest secret of liberation? Dharma, Artha, Kam, and Moksha. How do I attain moksha? How do I attain liberation? How do I attain freedom from all the suffering and turmoil and stress and complexity of inebriaties, of challenges in this material world? What is the secret of liberation? Can you tell me the secret of liberation? Because I'm frustrated. Oh yeah, secret of liberation is very simple. Ante Narayana Smriti. Remembrance of the Supreme Lord at the time of death. Maharaj Parikshit got that. Not only did he get that theoretically, Prabhupada says he realized. How do we know that he realized the statement? Because Sukadeva Goswami already had explained that. So, by the mercy of Sukadeva Goswami, he understood the secret of liberation. And we also have the same. By the mercy of Sukadeva Goswami, by the mercy of Parikshit Maharaj, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we got the secret. And how do we know that I haven't fully realized that statement, whereas Maharaj Parikshit has realized that statement? Because we can see from his activities. Knowledge, when applied, becomes realized knowledge. Maharaj Parikshit heard the secret. He's now requesting Sukadeva Goswami, I want to apply that. I want to hear more. Please tell me more about Krishna, so that my mind is fully absorbed in Krishna and I can live in a Krishna conscious way. That means he's realized the secret. If we get into a discussion, a dialogue, conversation with anyone in this world that is really not connected to Krishna somehow or other, directly or indirectly, then it means we have not fully realized the secret. Because time wasted cannot be reclaimed, cannot be recovered. Prabhupada then continues. Maharaj Parikshit was destined to give up his body at the end of 7 days. And thus he decided to continue remembering the Lord by his association with the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, and thus to put his body in full consciousness of the presence of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul. We also can put our body associating with the different topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we associate with Srimad Bhagavatam, different topics, we associate with Krishna. The hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam from professional men is different from the transcendental hearing of Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was a soul realized in the absolute truth, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The fruit of materialists are not realized souls. They want to derive some material benefit from their so-called hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. Undoubtedly, such an audience, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from professional men, can derive some material benefit as they desire. But that does not mean that such a pretense of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam for a week is as good as the hearing of Maharaj. We don't want any material desires, material benedictions from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. We don't want to increase our time in the material world. We want to shorten our time. It is the duty of the saint to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a self-realized soul and not be dubbed by professional men. One should continue such hearing till the end of one's life, so that one can actually have the transcendental association of the Lord, and thus be liberated simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. If we did not have Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purpose, then it would defeat having these sessions. Because Prabhupada is saying that we need to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a self-realized soul. And because I'm not self-realized, then hearing from me is useless. But by Prabhupada's mercy, we are hearing from Srila Prabhupada, who is self-realized. So therefore, this hearing of Prabhupada's words is our good fortune. Because without this qualification, then the result cannot be delivered. We cannot get the desired result. Then we'll get the professional speakers, crack jokes, professional reciting, and all we're going to get is some material outcome. Maharaj Parikshit had already given up all his connections with his kingdom and family, the most attractive features of materialism, but still he was conscious of his material body. He wanted to be free from such bondage also by constant association of them. So two very important points in the last two statements. First, okay, so if I associate Srimad Bhagavatam, if I hear from Srimad Bhagavatam constantly, I'm becoming purified and I am now going to be delivered, liberated. How long should I continue hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? Prabhupada says one should continue such hearing till the end of one's life. So until death, we have to keep hearing, keep associating. Now we have these sessions once a week, but that once a week is simply to get a taste, to then associate constantly with Srimad Bhagavatam. So that if we leave any day, we're leaving with hearing the glories of Krishna or chanting the holy names. Maharaj Parikshit had also given up all this connection, and Prabhupada says, with his kingdom and family, the most attractive feature of materialism, but still he was conscious of his material body. So now I may give up things, I may become detached, but are you conscious of your material body? We should ask this question. Am I conscious of this material body? Am I conscious of this body? And without fail, yes. Somebody, if I hurt my finger, I'll be fully conscious of my pain, of the pain that's incurred on the body. I feel the hunger, pangs of the body, which means I'm still conscious of this body. So as long as you are conscious of your body, it means that you still have some purification to do. He wanted to be free from such bondage also by constant association. So we need to keep going until we die. And what will be a sign, a signal, a measurement that tells me I'm moving in the right direction, especially when I'm coming close to death? I'm becoming less and less conscious of the material body. And I'm becoming more and more conscious of my spiritual identity. When I am completely perfect, I am not conscious at all of my material body, and I'm fully conscious of my spiritual identity. In fact, Madhurya Kadambini, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that actually at that point when the pure devotee dies, his material body drops, and there he is in his spiritual body, and he looks at the material body and he says, what's that? Like, I wonder what that is. Anyway, he carries on. It's like that detachment is completely there. complete detachment, complete detachment from the material body. We can also see the progress throughout our life. Am I more bodily conscious, or am I living more simply to maintain body and soul to be Krishna conscious? Simple living is a sign that you realize you're not the body. Because your focus is not on this body. Your focus should be on you, the spiritual being. So therefore, less and less consciousness related to the body. You need this body to perfect your life. Without this body, there is absolutely no way you're going to perfect your life. So your body is very, very, very important. You need to look after it. Keep it fit and keep it as fit and as healthy as practically possible, so that we can focus on our Krishna consciousness. Text 4. Shrinvata Shradaya Nityam Grina Tascha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirgena Bhagavan Vishate Ridi. Persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna manifest in their hearts within a short time. The word is Shrinvata Shradaya Nityam. Shrinvata, to hear. So it doesn't say persons who keep the Srimad Bhagavatam in their house. That's good, but not good enough. Persons who hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. And how often? Nityam. Regularly. Now there are, the word Nityam. Nityam means constantly. Kirtanya Sadahari. Satatam Kirtayantama. 24 hours, constantly, non-stop. That is constant. Srila Prabhupada's compassion, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Nityam can also mean daily. So we really need to develop the habit of daily associating with Srimad Bhagavatam. We need to come to that. That should be our desired goal. That I want to come to that stage where I can daily, regularly associate with Srimad Bhagavatam. At least aspire for that. Then, Shraddhaya, with faith. And are always taking the matter very seriously. Not just serious, but very serious. And what will happen? Bhagavan Vishate Riddhi. The Lord will manifest in your heart. Krishna will manifest in your heart. Cheap devotees or materialistic devotees of the Lord are very much desirous to see the Lord personally without meeting the requisite qualifications. Sometimes we say Chant Hare Krishna and be happy, chant Hare Krishna and you'll see Krishna. And that's true. But Krishna is not cheap. Seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not cheap. Consider what Dhruva Maharaj did. If we want to be inspired with determination we should hear the pastime of Dhruva Maj. Srijat Mahaprabhu was hearing the pastimes of Dhruva Maj 100 times, again and again and again and again. Why? Because of the determination that Dhruva Maj showed. He wanted to see God. He wanted to see Krishna. He wanted to speak to Krishna. He wanted the audience of Krishna. And what did he go? What did he do? Firstly, he left the palace. Small boy. He left the comforts of material life. Are we ready to give up the comforts of material life to see Krishna? Then he went to the forest. He met Narad Muni. He didn't know the process. All he heard was from his mother, who was of his Varma Pradakshaka Guru, you go to the forest, that's where they say you can find God. And he went. But because of his sincerity, his intense desire to see Krishna, to get the audience of Krishna, even though that desire was not founded on purity, on pure devotion. He wanted to see God to get his material desire fulfilled. I want to be greater than my father. I'm going to prove my father I'm going to prove to my stepmother and my father that I'm great. I want a universe. I want a planet greater than my grandfather. So he had a material desire. Even with that desire, he was determined. That determination was so strong that Krishna was attracted to that determination. And what did Krishna do? Guru Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lata Bij. By the mercy of Krishna, we get Guru. By the mercy of Guru, we get Krishna. Krishna said, Narad Muni. Narad Muni will help Dhruva Maj. And sure enough, Narad Muni appears and helps Dhruva Maj. And what does he do? He first tests Dhruva Maj. Dhruva, you small boy, go home. Play twice. Play with toys. The forest, the wild animals there. It's not your place. And Dhruva Maj was determined. Told Narad Muni, if you want to help me, you help me, otherwise you go. He was determined. And sure enough, Narad Muni guides him, initiates him into chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And he starts. Now, it's interesting that Dhruva Maj, he was so determined that he started giving up eating, drinking, and eventually even breathing. What to talk about sleep. And I'm thinking, will I give up sleep? Aish. Eating? Wow. Drinking? Gee. Breathing? Like really? What type of determination must he have to see Krishna? I don't have that determination. But here's the beauty part. Here's the beautiful part. By me reading about Dhruva Maj, which will come in the Srimad Bhagavatam, because Maj Parikshit asked about who did Narad Muni preach to? Well, one of them that he preached to, that he helped, was Dhruva Maj. So we're going to hear about Dhruva Maj. So if I hear the pastimes of Dhruva Maj, guess which quality I cultivate? Determination. This seriousness that Srila Prabhupada is talking about. And with Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Prabhupada did not tell us to give up breathing, to stop eating, to stop drinking. Prabhupada said, just offer everything to Krishna. So whatever you drink and whatever you eat, offer it to Krishna. Now you can have prasad. Mercy. Wonderful. And what about breathing? Well, if you mold your life in a Krishna conscious way, then your breathing is also beneficial for Krishna consciousness. But determination, seriousness, I must cultivate. So don't be a cheap devotee. Don't be a materialistic devotee. As Prabhupada is saying in the verse, be a serious devotee. And not just serious, very serious devotee. Such third-class devotees should know well that material attachment and seeing the Lord face to face cannot go together. So yes, Krishna consciousness is serious business. His Grace Burijan Prabhu was making the point in one class. He was saying, you know, the devotees, they're very tricky. They say, oh, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Eat prasad, you go back to Godhead. You can eat your way back to Godhead. So then you join Krishna consciousness because it's so nice. You have kirtan, you have prasad, you're going back to Godhead. Then you start reading purports like this. Back to devotion, purports like this, and now you read. Yes, this is serious business. This is serious business. You cannot keep your nonsense and expect to see Krishna face to face. Unfortunately, sorry to say, sorry to disappoint anyone, it doesn't work. Now, is there any benefit? Say I'm attached to material attachments. I love things. I love my old karmi music and whatever material, non-Krishna conscious activities I may have. I love that. Is there any benefit of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes, there is. I'll get purified, but it will be a slow and gradual process of purification because I need to come to that realization. So the sooner I come to that realization, the less trouble I will have. The longer I take to become perfect in this world, lifetime after lifetime, the less trouble, misery I'm going to save myself. It is not such a mechanical process that the professional Bhagavatam reciters can do the job on behalf of the third grade materialistic pseudo devotees. The professional men are useless in this connection because they are neither self-realized nor interested in the liberation of the audience. They are simply interested in maintaining the material establishment of family attachment and earning some material benefits out of profession. Maharaj Parikshit had no more than 7 days to live, but for others, Maharaj Parikshit personally recommends that 1 year Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, Nityam, always by one's own effort and with serious devotion. So that will help one to see Lord Krishna, Lord Shri Krishna manifested in one's heart within no time. So now we are being made aware of the seriousness, at the same time, the glory of associating with Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada will give the example. If you want to see the president, how many of us tomorrow can see the president of South Africa and have a chat with him tomorrow? Most unlikely. To get hold of him, you have to go through the secretary. And the secretary is going to ask you, who are you? Why do you want to speak to him? 101 questions. And you say, no, I don't want to speak to him. I want to chat with him. I want to see if it's easy. They're going to tell you, sorry, don't waste our time. So if just to see the president, a materialistic man of a country, and it's so difficult, practically for a normal person, impossible. What to talk about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the greatest person? Is it going to be so easy just to see him? Now, Prabhupada did say, yeah, we've got Krishna's telephone number. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So yes, you can connect and speak to Krishna, but seeing Krishna face to face, it's not easy. It requires seriousness and requires practice. What's the practice? Simply develop a taste to hear the glories of Krishna. Satatam kirtayantam, shranutam swakata Krishna. Just simply hear. The food for the body, or let's put it this way, food is necessary for the body to get energy. To maintain the body, you need food. To maintain you, the soul, you need food. And what's your food? Sharanrutam Swakata Krishna. The glories of Krishna. Hearing Krishna Katha is your food. So we need to develop a taste for hearing and chanting. The pseudo devotee, however, is very anxious to see the Lord according to his whims, not making any serious effort to hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly with detachment from material benefit. That is not the way recommended by an authority like Maharaj Parikshit, who heard and benefited from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So let us not make this mistake. I want to hear Srimad Bhagavatam not so that I can get a good job and I can get a nice wife and I can get good health and I can stay in the material world. No, I want to hear Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can become detached and become attached to Krishna. Text 5. Pravishta karnaran drena swanam bhava sharoruham dunoti shalanam Krishna shalilasya yatha sharad. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus, it acts like an autumnal rain upon the pools of muddy water. Pravishta karana randrena. Pravishta means to enter. Now, Krishna is already in your heart as a super soul. Super soul is already there. But it is not the super soul who does the cleansing. The super soul only witnesses and sanctions. Who does the cleansing? Pravishta Karna Randrena. The sound incarnation of the Lord in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam enters into Karna, into your ears. How? Through Srimad Bhagavatam. When you hear Krishna Katha is not different from Krishna. Krishna is entering into your ears and is going into the region of the heart. And there, what does it do? Swanam bhava sharoruham. He enters the heart of the self-light devotee and sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationships. When Krishna enters, you begin to develop a relationship with Krishna. And what does Krishna do? He does the most menial service of cleansing your heart. Generally, cleaning service is done by maidservants. But here we find Krishna taking up that service of cleansing our heart personally, not indirectly, not something like karma or no, directly Krishna is entering. Cheto darpana marjanam. Krishna is directly entering the form of the holy name, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. He's entering into your heart, and he's personally dunoti shalanam Krishna. He's personally cleansing. What is he cleansing? The dust of material association. What is that dust? Lust, anger, hankering, etc. So this is how Krishna is actually purifying our hearts. Personally. Personal service. It's a beautiful verse. So here's the word to word. Pravishta, being thus entering. Karna randirena, through the holes of the ears. Swanam, according to one's liberated position. Doesn't matter who one is. Krishna is entering. But according to one's relationship, according to one's level of advancement, Krishna is maturing that relationship. Bhava, constitutional relationship. Sara, ruham, the lotus flower. Dunoti, cleanses. Shalanam, material qualities like lust, anger, avarice, hankering. Who? Krishna. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. See, it's not any other incarnation, but the Supreme Lord, because Bhagavatam is giving Krishna. Remember, we heard about Srila Vyasadeva. He had given all the Vedas minus Krishna, and he was never satisfied. And Narada Muni told him, you given karma kanda, you given so much, but you didn't give Krishna. Give Krishna and you'll be happy. You'll be satisfied. Krishna is the missing factor. So here we see Maj Parikshit is very, very clear in terms of his relationship and goal. I want to remember Krishna. Krishna is the one who's coming into my heart and developing that relationship with me. I want to develop that relationship with Krishna. In some purport, in some verses, Prabhupada would, in the translation, put Krishna there because he understands. But we find many verses like these where it's very clear. Dunoti shalanam Krishna. There's only one Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when we talk about who's doing the cleansing, it's not the Paramatma, not the Super Soul. It's Krishna. Shalilasya, of the reservoir of water, yata, as it is worse, sharat, autumn season. The last line is giving an analogy of how Krishna is cleansing. Prabhupada in the purport expands. It is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. There's a song that says that even Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that just one associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can deliver the whole universe. We know the pastime of Vasudeva Datta. He told Srijan Mahaprabhu, my Lord, you give me the sins of all the living entities on my head and liberate them. This was the compassion. Prabhupada says the compassion of Vasudeva Datta superseded Jesus Christ. Vasudeva Datta was concerned about every living entity in the whole universe, not just human beings on one planet, not just human beings in one society, not just human beings on one planet, not just human beings on other planets. No, the birds, bees, insects, reptiles, every living entity in the whole universe. And he wanted to take all their sins. So he told Lord Chaitanya, will you please give me all their sins. I'll take all their sins. And in this way, I will liberate I will liberate them. So this is the blessing of the pure devotee. So just one single pure devotee can liberate all the fallen souls of this world. Thus, one who is actually in the confidence of a pure devotee, like Narada or Sukadeva Goswami, and thus is empowered by one spiritual master, as Narada was by Brahmaji, can not only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya illusion, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional. Here, Prabhupada is making the point that Narada and Sukadev Goswami, they, the pure devotees, and they were empowered by one spiritual master. And the example he says is Narad was empowered by Brahmaji. Now, we already went through the previous chapter, or previous few chapters, where Brahmaji is instructing Narada. And nowhere in any of the verses did we encounter a verse where Lord Brahma empowers Narada Muni. He instructs Narada Muni, but there is no empowerment. And here Prabhupada is making very clear that he's empowered by Lord Brahma. So where's that empowerment? What is that empowerment? When did that happen? How did it happen? The implication is that Lord Brahma instructed Narada Muni to go and preach. Within that instruction is the empowerment. This is where the statement is derived that when a spiritual master gives you an instruction, he gives you the empowerment with that instruction. His Grace Burijan Prabhu shares that in 1976, he went to go see Srila Prabhupada because there was some discussion about going to preach China, different areas. So he thought it would be a nice service. So he went to Srila Prabhupada. And he was speaking to Srila Prabhupada. And at one point, this discussion came about, to give blessings and empowerment. And Srila Prabhupada made the statement that it is my standing order to all my disciples to preach. That means every follower, Prabhupada says, it is my standing order to every disciple, every follower to preach. Which means that instruction you don't need to be given. It's already given. It's a standing order. Standing order means for everyone. Now, what does it mean to preach? It simply means to try to bring people to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Cultivate people, bring people, connect people. Either through prasad, either through chatting about Krishna, making friends, through distributing Prabhupada's books, to assisting the preaching mission, somehow or other. And the empowerment, the blessing is already in that instruction. Can not only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya illusion, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional strength. Purity is the force. The more we practice purely, the more effect we will have. In today's lecture also, we were hearing Prabhupada says that I gave these books not for distribution. That is secondary. It was a very powerful lecture. That is secondary, Prabhupada says. The primary reason for giving these books is for you to read. If you distribute the book and the person says, oh, I have some question, what's in the book? No, it's only for you. It's only for you. It's for you to give me money. not for me to read. It's for you to give me money, Robert says. Prabhupada says, no, that's not the reason. That is secondary reason. The primary reason is we need to read these books. Prabhupada has given these books for me and you to be guided, to associate with, to become absorbed in, to become so absorbed that when we associate with that knowledge that is found, that wisdom that's found in Srila Prabhupada's books. We become so absorbed and empowered that we begin to realize and practice and live this philosophy. And through that living, we become pure to impact others. That is the greatest welfare work we can do. To bring people closer to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. The comparison to the autumnal rain that falls on muddy reservoirs of water is very appropriate. During the rainy season, all the waters of the rivers become muddy. But in the month of September, October, during the autumn season, when there is a slight rainfall, the muddy waters of the river all over the world become at once clear. By addition of some chemical or a small reservoir of water like that of a metropolitan water tank can be cleared. But by such a tiny effort, it is not possible to clear up all the reservoirs of water like the rivers. A powerful, pure devotee of the Lord, however, can deliver not only his personal self, but also many others in his association. Another glorious point that Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur also mentions is that this power of devotional service is so glorious that Krishna personally comes and cleanses everything. This does not happen with other processes. With other processes, you do not get completely cleansed. They fall short. And that is why the only process, Bhaktya Mama Vijanati, only by devotional service. And that is why Srila Prabhupada stresses again and again and again the path of devotional service. And Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita stresses the path of devotional service, because it is perfect and complete. In other words, the cleansing of the polluted heart by other methods, like the culture of empiric knowledge or mystic gymnastics, can simply cleanse one's own heart. And even then, not effectively. But devotional service to the Lord is so powerful that it can cleanse the hearts of the people in general by the devotional service of the pure, empowered devotee. We see when the devotees were in association with Srila Prabhupada, they could do anything because of his power, his potency, his purity, his presence. So if we want to impact those around us in the most effective way, we simply have to ourselves become pure. A true representative of the Lord, like Narada, Sukadeva Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, the six Goswamis, and later Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisaranta Saraswati Thakur, and in our case, Srila Prabhupada, can deliver all the people by their empowered devotional service. This is the potency, this is the power. Srila Prabhupada has started a revolution that's unimaginable to purify people. By sincere efforts to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, one realizes his constitutional relationship with the Lord in the transcendental humor of servitude, friendship, parental affection, or conjugal love. And by such self-realization, one becomes situated at once in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So as you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is entering into your heart. Like we hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. This is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is entering into our heart. This is what's happening. And while we are hearing and Krishna is entering, Krishna is also purifying our heart of lust, anger, greed, jealousy, envy, madness. All these impurities is been removed. Therefore, the more you hear, the more gets purified. And as the purification is happening, Krishna is reviving our relationship with himself. When there is no more dirt, then Krishna takes full shelter in our heart, and our relationship then blossoms. That is Janmashtami, Krishna Janmashtami. Not only were all the pure devotees like Narada self-realized souls, but they were engaged in preaching work automatically by spiritual impetus. And thus, they delivered many poor souls entangled in the material world. This is the compassionate nature of the pure. Naturally, when you understand the glory, the benefit, the beauty of Krishna consciousness, you want to share it with others. And yes, they may not be interested, therefore one is expert in how to bring people closer. Not to chase people away, not to force people. We don't force Krishna consciousness on people. We need to inspire Krishna consciousness, not force. They become so powerful because they sincerely follow the Bhagavatam principle by regular hearing and worshipping. By such actions, the accumulated material lust, etc., becomes cleansed by the personal endeavor of the Lord within the heart. Personal endeavor of the Lord within the heart. Who says Krishna is not personally with you? Who says Krishna is not personally helping you? Who says Krishna is not personally interested in your welfare? If he himself is personally cleansing your heart, the dirt that you accumulated for billions and billions and billions of lifetimes, Krishna is personally cleansing that dirt. His Grace Amarendra Prabhu was making the point that Krishna is cleansing. So if you know about cleansing, you got your bucket, you got your water, you got your cloth, and then you dip your cloth, and you clean, and then you rinse. So he was saying when Krishna is cleansing like this, and Krishna rinses, and the dirt is coming out, then tears come from your eyes. That water that Krishna is cleansing is coming out of your heart, coming from your eyes. So Krishna is personally doing this. This is wonderful. It's such a personal exchange with Krishna. As Prabhupada says, Krishna is more interested in you coming back than you want to go back. Therefore, as soon as you develop the urge and practice to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna personally takes interest. The Lord is always within the heart of the living being, but he becomes manifest by one's devotional service. Purification of heart by culture of knowledge or mystic power may be all right for the time being for an individual person, but it is like the cleansing of a small quantity of stagnant water by chemical processes. Such clarification of water may stand for the time being and the sediment settle down. But by slight agitation, everything becomes muddy. The idea is that devotional service to the Lord is the only method of cleansing the heart for good, whereas other methods may be superficially good for time being. There is a risk of becoming muddy again due to agitation of the mind. Devotional service to the Lord with specific attention to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and always is the best recommended method for liberation from the clutches of illusion. Now note, it does not say remember everything you hear. It simply says to hear with attention. So if we simply hear regularly, we will remember. Because hearing and chanting means I'm remembering at that point, I'm hearing and chanting, I'm remembering Krishna. Like here we're remembering Krishna because I'm hearing and chanting about Krishna. So I don't need to remember everything I heard. I mean, even I can't do that. Sometimes I hear all these great Maharatis, so many amazing devotees like Amarendra Prabhu and others from Ujjain, from Chaupati, Gauragandarshan, all his devotees, and they're able to quote verses and remember, and so wonderful memory. Such a great blessing, such a benediction. So yes, one may be fortunate like that to remember. But even if one is not like that, one doesn't have that ability, no problem. We simply have to hear and chant. That's all. So hear and chant, hear and chant, hear and chant. While you're hearing and chanting, you're remembering. And then if you constantly hear and chant, you'll remember certain things. But you don't need to always remember. But you must always hear and chant. If we can remember, that's great. If we can't remember, always hear and chant. That is the glory and the benediction. Text 6. Dotatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam Namunchati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Panta Swa Sharanam Yatha. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. So now, see how beautiful systematically these verses are presented, sharing our own journey. When Krishna cleanses everything, all the dirt, all the impurities, and now Krishna is there in our heart, then the devotee never leaves Krishna, because now he is fully satisfied. And the example is given of a traveler satisfied at home after a troubled journey. One who is not a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not completely cleansed in the heart. But a perfectly cleansed person never quits the devotional service of the Lord. Which means no one who's a pure devotee, who's perfectly cleansed, will fall away from Krishna consciousness. You will only fall away from Krishna consciousness if you have impurities. That's why you cannot risk associating with Maya, who's like fire. If you play with fire, you get burnt. So therefore, we have to be very careful. Even when one is a pure devotee, one only associates with Krishna. One doesn't want Maya. What to talk about when we're not pure? We want to keep Maya away as far as possible. In discharging such devotional services ordered by Brahmaji to Narada, in the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes a representative of the Lord engaged in the preaching work meets various so-called difficulties. This was exhibited by Lord Nityananda when he delivered the two souls, fallen souls, Jaga and Madaya. And similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified by non-believers. But such difficulties are very gladly suffered by the devotees in preaching, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is. Prahlad Maharaj suffered greatly, but still he never forgot the lotus feet of the Lord. This is because a pure devotee of the Lord is so purified in his heart that he cannot leave the shelter of Lord Krishna in any circumstances. There is no self-interest in such service. So if we have difficulty and we give up Krishna consciousness because of the difficulty, no one is to be blamed, no difficulties to be blamed, no circumstances to be blamed, not others are to be blamed but you. Because only you can give up the lotus feet of Krishna. No circumstance can allow you to give up this lotus feet of Krishna, because when you have the lotus feet of Krishna, you're fully satisfied. And Prabhupada is giving two examples, or three, even Prahlad Maharaj, that even while preaching, so much difficulty was put upon Lord Nityananda, Jesus Christ, Prahlad Maharaj, but still they never gave up. Why? Because they had the Lord's lotus feet in their heart. And they cannot give that up, even though externally it is very difficult. So we should protect ourselves from Maya, keep good association, constantly hear and chant. This way we become purified by the Lord's personal endeavor himself. When he's established in our heart, our relationship is fully bloomed, there's absolutely no circumstance that will check that. The process of culturing knowledge by the Gyanis and the body gymnastics by the yogis are ultimately given up by their respective performers. But a devotee of the Lord cannot give up service of the Lord, for he is ordered by his spiritual master. So here's another reason why you can't give up. It's because Prabhupada is saying you can't give up. The spiritual master is saying you can't give up. Pure devotees like Narada and Nityananda take up the order of the spiritual master as the sustenance of life. They do not mind what becomes of the future of their lives. So there's no self-interest. Okay, I have to struggle, no problem. We see Prabhupada struggled, no problem. It's my order of the Guru. My Guru Maharaj told me to preach in the West. I'm preaching. Difficulties may come. It's my order that I've received. So when we're not pure, then the order becomes our motivating force to stay fixed, at the process. They take up the matter very seriously as the order comes from a higher authority, from the representative of the Lord or from the Lord himself. The example set here is very appropriate. A traveler leaves home to search for wealth in far distant places, sometimes in the forest, sometimes in the ocean, sometimes in hilltops. Certainly there are many troubles for the traveler when he is in such unknown places, but all such troubles are at once mitigated as soon as the sense of his family affection is remembered. And as soon as he returns home, he forgets all such troubles. A pure devotee to the Lord is exactly in the family tie with the Lord, and therefore he is undeterred in discharge of his duty in a full affectionate tie with the Lord. So the difficulties that we may go through, the struggle of Krishna consciousness, the struggle to be Krishna conscious, that we may be going through, that we continue to go through. We're happy to go through that struggle because at the end, it is the full affectionate tie with the Lord that will give me that relief. And as we seriously progress, we will begin to experience that affectionate tie with the Lord. It's not like I start Krishna consciousness and then when I perfect Krishna consciousness, I'm happy. And in between, I'm miserable. No. It's come right through. But yes, there is difficulty and there is troubles and there is challenges, both internally and externally. But when I see the affectionate tie at the end of the tunnel, then that remembrance of that affectionate tie soothes the difficulties and continues to inspire me to keep at this process. Because as Prabhupada says, material life is impossible. Spiritual life is difficult. So I'm happy to embrace the difficulty in Krishna consciousness and not foolishly give up the difficulty for the impossibility of material life. Because that's a total waste of time and energy. Text 7. Yed adatu mato brahman deharambo swadatu bi yadrichaya hetunava bhavanto janata yata. O learned Brahmana, the transcendental soul, spirit soul, is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this? For it is unknown, for it is known to you. So Sukadev Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit has beautifully glorified Srimad Bhagavatam. He is eager to hear more. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a young student, he was into grammatical discussion. And one time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing and a Brahmana friend who was a friend of his father who lived in the same village, Ratna Garva, he was passing by and he was reciting a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard that verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped him and said, please chant again and again and again. I'm so eager to hear this and relish that taste of hearing the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. So the more we become purified and we read these verses again, they will have a different taste, a greater taste, to such an extent that we can read again and again and again and again and relish every verse from the Bhagavatam. Because every verse is Krishna. And we can never tire associating with Krishna. When Srinivasacharya went to Gadadhar Pandit to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, he went to Jagannath Puri to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And he came to Gadadhar Pandit to hear, because Gadadhar Pandit was very expert at reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu daily would go and hear Srimad Bhagavatam recited by Gadadhar Pandit. It was Srimati Radharani herself. It is described that when Srinivasacharya came to request Gadadhar Pandit to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavatam that Gadadhar Pandit Prabhu had, the letters were not legible because of the tears that had washed away the writings on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Gadadhar Pandit Prabhu told Srinivasacharya, you have to go and get another copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Please find another copy. Srinivasacharya had to go and find another copy. That time they had to handwrite the Srimad Bhagavatam. Imagine you have to get Srimad Bhagavatam, you have to handwrite all 18,000 verses, then come. But here we see they were relishing Srimad Bhagavatam. Tears were flowing from their eyes. That's the taste that's there. So we have a treasure chest. The deeper you go, more blissful it becomes. The more you hear and chant, the more blissful it will become. So we just have to simply keep going. So now, after glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit is now going to ask many questions, one after another. And then Sukadev Goswami is going to begin to answer. So here he's asking, O learned Brahmana, the transcendental spirit soul is different from material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? How does he get this body? How did I get this body? Will you kindly explain? For it is known to you. Maharaj Parikshit, being a typical devotee, is not satisfied by simply confirming the importance of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from the representative of Brahmaji in the cyclic succession. But he is still more anxious to establish the philosophical basis of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Supreme Personality of God, and as such, all questions that may arise in the mind of a serious student must be cleared by the statements of the authority. A person on the path of devotional service may inquire from his spiritual master all about spiritual position of God and the living being. From the Bhagavad Gita as well as from the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is known that qualitatively the Lord and the living beings are one. The living being is conditional. The living being in the conditional state of material existence, subjected to many transmigrations by continuous changing of the material body. But what are the causes of the material embodiment of the part and parcels of the Lord? Maharaj Parikshit inquires about this very important matter for the benefit of all classes of candidates on the path of spiritual realization and devotional service to the Lord. So yes, hearing Krishna Katha is wonderful, but inquiry is important to clarify doubts, to understand the philosophy properly. Indirectly, it is confirmed that the Supreme Being, the Lord, makes no such material changes of the body. He is spiritually whole, with no difference between his body and his soul, unlike the conditioned soul. Liberated living beings who associate with the Lord in person are also exactly like the Lord. Meaning, the liberated souls do not have a body. Their body and their soul is the same, like the Lord's. Only the conditioned souls awaiting liberation are subject to change of the bodies. How was the process first begun? In the process of devotional service, the first step is to take shelter of the spiritual master and then inquire from the spiritual master all about the process. This inquiry is essential for the immunity to all kinds of offenses on the path of devotional service. Here is one reason why Prabhupada says inquiring, clarification, questioning is important, because it gives you the immunity to the different offenses that can be on the part of devotional service. See, hearing and chanting is very simple. Okay, I need to hear and chant, but there's certain criteria, certain things that's required. So if I don't clarify, if I don't question, how will I know of the offenses that I need to avoid? Like inattention, sleeping while hearing about Krishna Katha. If I don't inquire about these things, I think, okay, this is normal. And then I figure out, well, why I'm not making advancement? Well, you're not making advancement because you have not clarified, you have not questioned, you have not inquired sufficiently. Even if one is fixed in devotional service like Maharaj Parikshit, he must still inquire from the realized spiritual master all about this. In other words, the spiritual master must also be well versed and learned so that he may be able to answer all these inquiries from the devotees. Thus, one who is not well versed in the authorized scriptures and not able to answer all such relevant inquiries should not pose as a spiritual master for the matter of material gain. It is illegal to become a spiritual master one is unable to deliver a disciple. Text 8. Ashid yad udarat padmam loko samstana lakshmanam yavan ayam vai purusham iyata vaya vaikritak tavan ashav iti prokta samsta vaya vavan iva. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whose abdomen the lotus stem sprouted, is possessed of a gigantic body according to his own caliber and measurement, then what is the specific difference between the body of the Lord and those of common living entities? So now Maharaj Parikshit is asking very, very intelligent questions. One should note how Maharaj Parikshit intelligently puts questions before his spiritual master for scientific understanding of the transcendental body of the Lord. It has been described in many places before this that the Lord assumes a gigantic body, namely that of Karanadaksai Vishnu, from whose hair paws innumerable universes were generated. The body of Garbhadaksai Vishnu is described as the sprouting, the lotus stem within which all planets of the universe remain. And at the top of the stem is the lotus flower on which Lord Brahma is born. In the creation of the material world, the Supreme Lord undoubtedly assumes a gigantic body. And the living entities also get bodies, big or small, according to necessity. For example, an elephant gets a gigantic body according to its needs, and so also an ant gets its body according to its needs. Similarly, if the Supreme Personality of Godhead assumes a gigantic body to accommodate the universes or the planets of a particular universe, there is no difference in the principle of assuming or accepting a particular type of body in terms of necessity. A living being and the Lord cannot be distinguished simply by the difference in the magnitude of the body. So the answer depends on the specific significance of the body of the Lord, as distinguished from the body of common living being. He's trying to understand, well, consider, Lord Brahma is coming from the Lord. The Lord's body is completely pure. Lord Brahma is coming. So isn't Lord Brahma's body also pure? So in this way, he's inquiring, he's trying to understand the truth. And this is important. 9. Aja Shrija. So here's the point he's asking about Lord Brahma. Aja Shrijati Bhutani Bhutatma Yad Anugrahat Dadrisheye Natadrupam Nabi Padma Samudbhava. Brahma, who was not born of a material source, but of the lotus flower coming out of the navel in the abdomen of the Lord, is the creator of all those who are materially born. Of those, by the grace of the Lord, Brahma was able to see the form of the Lord. So there was no matter. Brahma is coming directly from the Lord. So what type of body does he get? Is his body material? If not, why? How? So all these questions, very wonderful questions. The first living creature, Brahma, is called Aja because he did not take his birth from the womb of a mother materially born. He was directly born from the bodily expansion of the lotus flower of the Lord. Thus, it is not readily understandable whether the body of the Lord and that of Brahma are of the same quality or different. This must also be clearly understood. One thing is, however, certain. Brahma was completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord because after his birth, he could create living beings by the Lord's grace only. And he could see the form of the Lord. Whether the form seen by Brahma is of the same quality as that of Brahma is a bewildering question. And Maharaj Parikshit wanted to get clear answers from Sukadeva Goswami. Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Text 10. Chapi yatra purusho vishwastityu bhavapyaya muktvatma mayam mayesha sete sarva gunashaya. Please also explain the personality of Godhead, who lies in every heart as the Supersoul and is the Lord of all energies, but is untouched by his material energy. Krishna is there in the heart, the Supersoul. If he's in the Supersoul, he's right in the material world. Well, why doesn't he get impacted by material energy. Undoubtedly, the form of the Lord who was seen by Brahma must be transcendental. Otherwise, how could he simply look upon the creative energy without being touched? Is it understood also that the same Purusha lies in the heart of every living entity? This also requires proper explanation. Text 11. Purusha Vairloka Sapala Purva Kalpita Loker Anusyava Loker Amusyava Yava Sapaler iti Shushruma. O learned Brahmana, it was formally explained that all the planets of the universe, with their respective governors, are situated in the different parts of the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. I've also heard that the different planetary systems are supposed to be in the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. But what is their actual position? Will you please explain? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So Maharaj Parikshit is asking different questions from the discussions that you already heard. Different questions have been triggered in Maharaj Parikshit's mind, intelligence. And this is very important. We need to be thoughtful. We need to think. We need to clarify. We need to meditate and contemplate on these subjects so that we are also able to understand. This deepens the philosophy in our heart. We become more convinced. So inquiring is very, very, very important. Srila Prabhupada loved Jayapataka Maharaj because in every lecture, Jayapataka Maharaj would try to ask an intelligent question. One time, he wasn't there because he had to do some service, so he wasn't there for the Bhagavatam class. And then Prabhupada asked any questions and nobody asked. And Prabhupada says, where is Jayapataka? He asked nice questions. So Prabhupada was very happy with him, that he asked intelligent questions. Sometimes devotees would try to ask a question just for the sake of answering a question to, like show that I know I can ask nice questions. And Prabhupada would be very expert to know that. And then he would purify the disciples accordingly. So yes, genuine inquiry is very, very important. So in today's sessions, or in today's session, beautiful verses glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, the eagerness to hear attentively, seriously, regularly, with devotion, and then understanding what happens when we hear. Krishna's personal touch is there, personal relationship we have with Krishna. People think God is so far. He's right there, simply by hearing He's there in your heart. He knows you, and He knows that you are keen and interested. And this slowly will develop, the relation will mature and mature. And when it's fully matured, then just like a traveler after a long distance, he comes home and it's so soothing. We will be in the embrace of the Supreme Lord, and our life will be very, very soothing. So next week we'll continue with the questions of Maharaj Parikshit, and then we will hear the answers to those beautiful questions. Vantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Are there any questions or comments, clarifications, contemplations? Please share in the chat. Hope the audio was good, because I had to swap the internet. Anyone is typing, maybe try to raise your hands. We know you're typing. Otherwise, I won't know if anyone is typing or wants to say a message. Hare Shamana Prasad, thank you for sharing Srimad Bhagavatam Nectar again today with us. Really powerful and amazing. Yes. Srimad Bhagavatam is powerful and amazing. Prabhupada's are powerful and amazing. We pray for the day we can just go on and on and on, and Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday, Sunday, just carry on. That'll be the greatest benediction. But now we have to be bound by the time and the duties and responsibilities around us all. All right. Thank you very much for everyone's kind association. Until next week, we will meet again. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gopramanande Hari Hari.